Questions are growing over whether Washington is quietly looking beyond Benjamin Netanyahu as tensions over Iran continue to simmer. According to reports, U.S. officials have begun exploring informal channels with key figures in Israel's opposition. The revelation comes amid growing friction between Washington and Jerusalem over the future of the Iran agreement and regional diplomacy. Even as criticism mounts behind closed doors, President Trump has continued to publicly praise Netanyahu and describe him as a warrior prime minister.
And Bibi Netanyahu is a warrior prime minister, and he should be acknowledged.
According to reports, officials in the Trump administration are quietly building ties with figures in Israel's political opposition. The outreach is reportedly focused on leaders viewed as potential successors to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett and former IDF chief Gadi Eisenkot are said to be among the key figures attracting Washington's attention. U.S. officials have reportedly begun sending feelers aimed at establishing informal channels of communication with the opposition camp. The reported effort reflects growing uncertainty over Netanyahu's political future amid mounting domestic and international pressure. Sources say Washington is increasingly preparing for the possibility that Netanyahu could lose the next Israeli election. Reports point to growing frustration within Washington over hardline elements inside Prime Minister Netanyahu's governing coalition. Some U.S. officials reportedly view key members of the current government as obstacles to broader regional diplomatic efforts. The war in Gaza has also left Israel facing intense international criticism and mounting political pressure abroad. Officials in Washington are said to be increasingly concerned about their ability to advance wider Middle East initiatives under the current political landscape. With Israeli elections due by October, the United States appears to be quietly preparing for multiple political outcomes. Even as reports of private frustration emerged, President Trump publicly praised Benjamin Netanyahu on June 19. The U.S. president described Netanyahu as a warrior prime minister, while reflecting on the recent conflict with Iran. Trump said the United States and Israel fought side by side during the war and achieved major military successes together. He also insisted that Washington continues to maintain what he called a great relationship with Israel. The remarks appeared designed to ease tensions after several days of public disagreements over Israel's actions in Lebanon.
And we've had a great relationship with Israel. We're very formidable. And Bibi Netanyahu is a warrior prime minister, and he should be acknowledged as that. They should give him credit, because he really did. We had a very good relationship, General, with all of them, but we really fought hard with Israel. And frankly, I feel that if we weren't around, let's say if there wasn't this presidency, we rebuilt our military during my first term in Iran, where in 1 week, virtually, we knocked out their entire Navy, their entire Air Force, their anti-missile weapons, their radar. We knocked out everything. Now, some of the fake news would say, oh, we didn't do it fast enough or something. It took about a week. We're a little spoiled by Venezuela, but equal, I would say equal. And now we have an agreement that was signed last night, and it's 60 days. They have to make a deal, otherwise we will do things that won't make them happy, but I don't think it's going to get to that. I think it's going to be very good. Remember, if we do that, then all of a sudden you're not going to have the oil flowing out of the strait too quickly, because people that own billion-dollar ships don't love missiles flying over them, don't love mines all over the water. And this is going to be amazing what's happening now, because we have the greatest economy that we've ever had. We have $19.2 trillion coming into our country from other countries and people, but a lot of other countries are coming in, including Qatar, who was so nice in providing. You know, we were at a little bit of a logjam. We're waiting for I call them the normal 747s, and I asked the Emir if we could use the brand new 747 that he got when we first heard about it, 800 hours. 800 hours for an airplane is essentially, I think, Troy, you could say that's a brand new plane. And I said, we'd like to use it for a little while because the planes are pretty old. Our planes are old. See, a normal president wouldn't do this. A normal president wants to stay away from aircraft. We don't want to order any aircraft so that everybody thinks, but our country has to be represented properly. That includes with We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest aircraft anywhere in the world, military fighters and bombers, and the B-2 bomber, you saw what that did. And we should have a plane. And we're going to have, as you know, we ordered 2 for a long time ago. They ordered, and they're coming in. And the hangar was built for the large plane. The other plane is such a difference in size. But there will never be one like this. This is very unique. This is considered the world's most luxurious plane. When it was built at a level that will probably never be seen again. And
the new U.S Iran memorandum has triggered deep concern inside Israel, where officials fear it could reshape the regional balance. The agreement calls for broader de-escalation across the Middle East, including efforts to reduce tensions in Lebanon. Iran has argued that Israel's continued military presence in southern Lebanon violates the spirit of the agreement. Prime Minister Netanyahu has rejected those claims and vowed to maintain Israeli forces in a security buffer zone. Israeli officials insist that the country is not bound by any arrangement that could compromise its national security. A fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah was restored after another dangerous round of clashes in southern Lebanon. U.S. officials are hoping the renewed truce can help preserve the broader diplomatic process now underway with Iran. However, reports suggest Washington fears further Israeli military actions could undermine those fragile diplomatic efforts. A recent U.S. intelligence assessment reportedly warned that developments in Lebanon could threaten progress toward a lasting peace. As the 60-day U.S.-Iran agreement enters its most critical phase, much of the region's future may depend on what happens next in Lebanon. What began as a debate over the Iran Memorandum of Understanding is now exposing unusually public tensions between the United States and Israel, with the dispute spilling into open political rhetoric rather than remaining behind closed diplomatic doors. Vice President J.D. Vance's comments about Israel touched off a sharp rebuttal from one of the country's most outspoken ministers, turning a policy disagreement into a highly personal and very visible clash. Vance said that Israel cannot just kill its way out of its security problems, a blunt formulation that challenged the logic of purely military solutions and implicitly criticized advocates of an uncompromising hard power approach. He specifically named Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich as prominent critics of the U.S.-Iran memorandum, singling out 2 of Israel's most hardline figures as emblematic of resistance to the emerging peace framework. The escalating war of words was detailed in a June 18 report by the Times of Israel, which described how the argument had intensified and how it was being framed in both American and Israeli political discourse. In a rare direct appeal, Ben-Gvir turned to X and wrote in English, addressing U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance by name in an attempt to speak over traditional diplomatic channels and rally public opinion. Ben-Gvir wrote, "This is the proposal, to deal with the Nazis of the 21st century, invoking a stark historical analogy to argue for a much more aggressive approach toward Iran and its proxies." His remarks deliberately evoked Second World War comparisons, dramatically escalating the rhetoric and underscoring just how charged and emotional the dispute over the Iran deal has become. Vance, for his part, pressed Israel to spell out exactly what its proposal would be to ensure long-term security, effectively challenging hardliners to move beyond slogans and articulate a realistic alternative strategy. The exchange has highlighted a widening gap between the United States' more pragmatic, diplomacy plus deterrence posture and Israel's hardline view that only relentless pressure and force can guarantee safety. All of this debate is unfolding as regional actors and Washington move into the 60-day negotiation window created by the memorandum, a period in which words on both sides could shape or strain the prospects for a final agreement.